Hello. How are you doing?
Good, not too bad.
Awesome. 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 Super exciting. Yeah, before we get into it, so much exciting things happening on Move. Curious, yeah, who are you, Rushi? What's movement? And in a landscape where so many ecosystems, L1s are popping up, how does Move stand?
Yeah, I'm Rushi, one of the co-founders of Movement. My background is engineering and distributed systems. The thesis behind Movement was to bring the Move language, the Move principle from DM and Libra to Ethereum and Web3 and beyond. So when I started Movement in 2022, I was building one of the first dexes on Aptos, which was one of the first L1s to pop up. And the thesis, what we wanted to do with Movement is bring Ethereum, bring EVM, bring all the benefits of native crypto mentality to Move. So Movement started since then, and now what we're seeing in the developer ecosystem is a migration from Solidity or the EVM to alternative programming languages. We saw this with Solana, with SVM, which is also a Rust-based programming vehicle. Move is also similar to that, where it's a Rust-based programming language. You have us, you have Aptos and Sui, and that kind of Move cabal, if you will. But yeah, it's been a journey, and I'm excited to be here today.
Awesome. Awesome. So many exciting topics in AI, but before we get into it, what's happening in the Move ecosystem? A lot of hackathons, Move Mansion, new NFT projects, DeFi projects. What's exciting in the ecosystem?
Well, I think crypto is an interesting point today, especially markets all around the world are collapsing as we speak. So maybe it's a little bit of a bear market conference, but I think what we're trying to focus on, even while sentiment is down and prices aren't lagging, is how do we create some kind of grassroots initiative. So most ecosystems start off with NFT seasons. We have Archive World, which is one of the bigger NFTs. I believe their floor is up 60% when everything else is down, and the floor is around $100 today. We're seeing a lot of native NFT mint outs, so that's been exciting. I think what we're also focused on is our DeFi ecosystem. So we have around 250 million TVL. It's being bridged over the next few days via Cornucopia. So for those that aren't familiar, Cornucopia was our pre-launch TVL program where you could deposit ETH, BTC, stables, and bridge that over to the main chain. So we had well oversubscribed, around 250 million TVL. We're going to open up new vaults as well, so anyone can deposit BTC, ETH, stablecoin, and earn Move rewards and use it within the Move system. So yeah.
Awesome. Let's jump into the AI. So much of the Web3 crypto ethos is around trust and verification, and redefining how companies are leveraging data to enable new user experiences, new products and services, and really prioritizing trust and verification, particularly around user behavior and data. From a high level, how do you see blockchain and AI really complementing each other, and particularly around the topics of trust and verification?
Well, I think in the last few months, probably before all this stuff happened, the concept of AI agents was really popping, and even today, in Web 2, AI agents are deemed to be the future, whether it's software development, whether it's healthcare, whether it's even office work. But the question is, how do you verify that AI agent is an AI agent? So there's things like zk-TLS, where you can use on-chain verification. You can do attestations via just oracles. There's a lot of different ways where you can use crypto and blockchains to verify that when an agent is running, that it is in fact provable that it's an AI agent. That gets interesting for especially financial applications where you want to ensure that an agent is acting honest and without partiality. So when you have AI agents doing long and shorting on perps, there may be a trust issue where people may say, I don't know if this AI agent's actually some guy in his mom's basement just cooking the books against me. Is there a way I can verify that this agent is in fact on-chain or on AI? So I think that's where verifiability in zk-TLS gets interesting. Beyond that, I think right now using DeFi is extremely difficult. Obviously, you have a bunch of wallets, bridges, etc. I think chain abstraction is truly solved by AI, where you can have on-chain AI agents automatically balance pools, automatically go long or short, provide essentially a user extracted DeFi experience. And I think that's what's interesting because you can put 100 USDC, 1,000 USDC, 100,000 USDC in a vault. It'll automatically deposit into a staking protocol, put a lending protocol, go long and short against that, and you have a really sophisticated DeFi approach that updates with market conditions. What we're seeing right now, especially with the market downturn, is that a lot of the DeFi APY that was promised, like the 100% APY, doesn't actually come to fruition because when the market takes a toll, there's not really sustainable yield strategy. So I think AI can help solve liquidations and provide more healthy APY to users.
Definitely, especially around DeFi where so much money is at stake. Origination and knowing where that kind of originated from is super, super important. Would love to take a step back and understand what is the current state of AI and Web3 and on-chain agents. Where are we and how did we get here?
I think we're extremely early, in fact, nascent. I feel like all the AI agents that launched in the craze, like after the tokens went down, no one really cared. Like I haven't heard anything on Twitter about any of these big AI agents or anyone actually using them. But I think there is a lot of promising startups and venture projects that have raised capital and looking to actually build infrastructure and on-chain platforms. One of them is Axel, which is like a really interesting DeFi platform that allows you to automatically, balance yields, have agents that trade, and they try to make it the user experience for crypto a lot better. I do think like the random AI agent meme coin craze is probably short term, but long term it's like, okay, how do we mix the two most emergent sectors, which is AI and crypto? I think so far there hasn't been much progress, frankly, in terms of adoption. Like, I don't know anyone that really uses AI crypto products. I personally don't use it. It's mostly because A, they're either scams, or B, they're not very accessible. So fixing the UX on that and distributing it in like a non-AI crypto way would probably be the best way.
Absolutely. We're in such early innings for both AI and arguably crypto itself. What do you think are some of the biggest problems? And as we think about how do we onboard the classic question, how do we onboard the next billion users into AI and crypto? What are some of the biggest problems that you see, and how are you guys tackling it from Move?
I think it's like, first of all, taking away, I mean, we've been talking about this for years, but like we can't really have wallets, we can't really have, on-chain, all of this, multiple bridges. I think the final stretch of like crypto adoption is when AI gets involved, where you can just be like, I have 1,000 USDC, I deposit from my bank account, find me the best yield. And you put that in like a command prompt, it'll automatically go to like Base, Ethereum, Movement, Solana, whatever, find the best yields and deliver it back to you, and then provide real-time updates. So I think like where it's headed is just simplifying the user experience. I don't think it's really been solvable through, a middleware level. Like, we don't need another L3 to do chain abstraction. We don't need probably more wallets. I think we have to stop fixing more issues with more issues and let AI kind of take away some of the issues we have, which is what's doing in other regions, right? Like, look at like healthcare, look at fintech. AI is solving a lot of problems there in terms of user experience and just being like command line execution. So that's what I would say for the general direction. How we're trying to focus that is more incubating apps and incubating builders on Movement that leverage this. So like touching on Axel, they're part of our accelerator. They've raised over $3 million, and now what they're working on is AI agents on Movement that can automatically go between DeFi apps, balance pools, bring the TVL in, ape meme coins if they want, essentially run like an automated hedge fund. And I know you're a venture fund like at a VC, and I think what gets really interesting is like how does AI get involved in like the liquid fund market, where you have AI agents that can bid tokens, sell tokens, balance DeFi, which is kind of difficult to do for a lot of retail users, but they really want access to meme coin trading, token trading. So I think that's where it could get interesting.
Definitely, and there's so much advanced topics that users really can't even understand themselves, right? So really see a lot of this AI intersection enabling new users coming into crypto. So many new interesting applications across DeFi, liquidity provision, trading, all the way to infrastructure and smart contract generation, and even down to the security level. and even the gaming and community building. From a high level and within movement, what are some applications, verticals that you think will be first to benefit, maybe some secondary order effects? What are you most excited about? And you mentioned a lot of scams, a lot of noise in the ecosystem. Where do you think these applications will really resonate with users?
I think we define 3 main verticals. First, I would say is DeFi, in that even like on Ethereum and Arbitrum often, or other EVMs, there's a lot of hacks. Move's thesis always to be the most secure execution environment, such that anyone deploys smart contract, you don't have to worry about registry, you don't have to worry about integer overflows, just have a better DevX and user experience. So to that extent, just having secure DeFi, so when we do have AI agents trading on chain, when we do have retail users using lending protocols and perps and whatnot, that they're not really worried about smart contract risks, that they can just be worried about actual financial risks in terms of liquidations and whatnot. They're not worried about, hey, is this protocol going to get hacked? So that's the first vertical. Secondly, I'd say like a vertical form consumer. We have an app called Bracket that's like a prediction market / Tinder. I think like Polymarket meets Tinder. And I think like the onset of Gen Z and younger audiences using crypto either for investment vehicles, but also using crypto to speculate, where it's like my favorite gaming team, my favorite NFL football team, my favorite hockey team. I can go long, short, invest in trends, invest in different teams, and actually use crypto as a gaming way that way. And lastly, I'd say obviously touch on AI. I think like financial products today, like if you go invest cash into an investment banker, they'll give you like 3% yield on treasuries, or they'll give you 6% on S&P, which obviously is down. But like DeFi offers you the ability to get 6 to 8 to 9% APY via just traditional DeFi assets, DeFi strategies. So if there's a way that AI can abstract that and provide this one line fix all solution, we have a lot of better financial products for users. So trying to work on those 3 verticals.
Definitely. Yeah, so many things that are contingent on kind of previous use cases and existing use cases as well. I guess short, medium, long term. Any interesting kind of enablers or roadblocks that you think AI really knocks down or propels forward in terms of applications, infrastructure, from your perspective?
I think from our perspective, like I touched on like DeFi being the main use case, I think payments could get interesting, where right now going cross currency is very difficult. Like when you're in like the USD to Euro to different currencies, like getting the proper exchange rates is quite difficult. Is there a way you can use AI to find the best route or the best providers to on and off ramp and swap between exchanges? But yeah, I think like AI, like I would say gaming was a category that people have touched on, but gaming itself hasn't really taken off in crypto, so AI gaming might be a little too far. And there is a concept of like decentralized training. I think there's like Hyperbolic and a few of teams that are trying to decentralize GPUs, decentralized training. Exos on the team that's trying to work on clusters, so decentralized clusters when you run models. That's a good use case where right now if you're, let's say, a private business or like your IBM and you want to run your own models without giving data to Microsoft or Apple, it's in your own interest to run the model on your own hardware. So what like Exo is working on is like using kind of blockchain principles to decentralize the clusters. So there is worlds where like AI itself could use crypto. I'd say again very early and pretty nascent today, but I would say it's more like how does crypto use AI first.
It's a great rephrase of the question, how does crypto use AI? From your view, are there any bad applications of crypto and AI? You touched on kind of maybe noise and scams in the ecosystem. Where do you think AI and crypto doesn't make sense?
Well, there's been a lot of like AI meme coins. I think most of these have gone to zero or like completely done by now. I can't, like, no one talks about them anymore, and I think largely they were attention grabbers rather than building real product. But that's part of the industry, right? I do think like speculation for AI tokens doesn't really make much sense in that like meme coins itself, like there's often culture, there's often like a cult behind it, so that could be one compelling narrative. But AI agents don't really need to have meme coins. It probably would make more sense to build equity business and build revenue and serve B2B clients versus launching a meme coin. But like that happened, and I think like the frameworks that came from that were a good first step. But I've never personally invested in an AI meme coin. I don't really think it makes sense. But yeah.
Definitely. And yeah, we come across a lot of deals where it's kind of AI and DeFi, and I kind of ask myself, would I let an AI agent kind of manage my portfolio or manage my trading strategies? And I feel like for the most part, it's no. Yeah.
Well, I think like the AI agents today aren't sophisticated. Once it gets to a point where like an agent produces yield, right? For example, if you're a fund manager, your first fund, getting your first few dollars is very difficult. But once you prove that you've invested in good deals, that your return profile is very good, that allows you to get more capital. The same thing with AI agents, I would say. It's like right now no one's using them. I don't think there's probably less than $1 million in AI agent DeFi. But once we get these, capital into these ecosystems, and they start, producing better APY than human managers, that could be very exciting. So again, I think it's just early. But if there was a category I was excited for, is AI fund managers.
Absolutely. It's very analogous to kind of TradFi, right? It's all about track record, and want to see the back test and want to see the results from prior activity to kind of get myself comfortable to give these agents some capital. Yeah, I guess it's all about track record and proof of kind of performance, right? And I think, I guess one of the use cases I think actually makes some sense is kind of the AI influencer, right? And there's almost some sort of social proof in the sense of if you can get a lot of likes, followers, retweets, that actually shows that the product that this AI is producing is actually useful and well resonating with the community. Any particular AI influencer or agents that you would want to use or you see kind of getting traction in the market?
I think like AI XPT was probably the one that we've interacted with the most, but it seems to have not as much reach. Because I think what happens is when the market, again, these are all market sentiments, right? When the market's really bullish, the AI XPT token's doing really well. There's a lot of culture around it. The agent itself is very profile, but right now when the market's down, the AI XPT token is down. Its influence is rather quiet. But I do think AI XPT is probably the best one that's come to market, where they had good market analysis. They talked about upcoming projects. They talked about movement. They talked about the ecosystem. And they bull posted it, bear posted, and it was actually a good influencer. I think other ones like Frasier that came to market, and there's more like waifu stuff that was also there, which I think is also use cases like companionship. There's like a few teams like MyShell that worked on like AI companionship. And being able to like pay his agents with crypto, which although isn't the most clean or like talked about use case, that is a whole like market where people have made millions of dollars, or like it's $1 billion market where companionship AI agents that can imitate human behavior, that ties into like humanoids and stuff that's coming. So I think it's something that's inevitable, and crypto will be the kind of payment gateway.
Definitely. Stepping back from the market and ecosystem perspective, how would you use AI yourself, and does that kind of bleed over to crypto? Would you seek companionship in an agent?
No. I'm good on that one. I think using DeFi, using crypto right now is still very difficult. It's been nearly a decade and still very extremely difficult to use crypto. I do think the AI is the answer, and having the ability for just doing one command line prompt, doing a search engine, and it's being, I have $1,000, farm me 10 airdrops, farm me the best APY, just using command lines and not having to, or command prompts and not having to actually go to different wallets, go to different chains, go to different explorers. That is the biggest blocker for people using crypto today. So I think the AI would solve that. And hopefully there's more use cases coming up that make AI itself better, where AI markets ask crypto for help, Right now, it's mostly crypto using AI, but hopefully that changes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Rishi. It was a pleasure. Enjoy the conference.
Appreciate it. Thank you.